The Apostle Paul was quite the miracle worker. On the island of Cyprus, Paul, Mark, and Barnabas ran into a sorcerer who was full of guile and all craftiness. And we're not talking about woodworking and needlepoint here. He was an enemy of all righteousness, someone perverting the straight ways of the Lord. And by straight, I don't mean heterosexual. Paul miraculously blinded the man for an entire season so that he missed out on all the beautiful fall colors. Harsh. In Lystra, Paul and Barnabas came upon a man who had been impotent in the feet, which is not the worst place to be impotent, by the way. This man had been crippled from his mother's womb, as the Bible puts it. He had never walked until Paul told the man to stand upright on his feet, which is exactly what he did, miraculously. That man went on to win the marathon at the Olympic Games in 52 CE. In Troas, Paul spoke to the people of that city. He spoke and he spoke and he spoke as he was leaving the next day and apparently didn't want to leave out any details. Late that night, while Paul droned on and on, a young man fell asleep listening to him and accidentally fell out of a window to his death. But Paul threw his body on the young man, miraculously bringing him back to life. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen asleep at the window and taken a really nasty spill. Never died, though, as you can see. In an earlier video this month, I talked about what it would take for me to become a believer. I simply want to see Christians doing what Jesus said they'd be able to do. Quote, "Verily, verily, I say unto you," I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Multiple verilies means Jesus is dead serious, so pay attention. "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works I do shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go to the Father." End quote. I've also pointed out that Jesus told his disciples, quote, "If two of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven." End quote. To this, numerous believers have told me that Jesus was speaking only to the original 12 apostles. So apparently it should have read, "He that believeth on me," in this particular group of 12 people, "the works I do shall he do also." Another failure of an all-powerful, all-knowing super being to communicate clearly. And I guess all of the other things Jesus said only to the 12 only apply to them. So none of us have to become like little children or forgive 70 times 7. But if Jesus was only speaking to the 12, why were Paul and Barnabas able to perform these great miracles? Blinding Gandalf, healing impotence, and raising Sleepy from the dead. They weren't there, Paul and Barnabas. They weren't part of the original 12 to whom Jesus was speaking when he said believers would be able to do what he did and greater. Sounds like Jesus really did mean, "He that believeth on me," anyone who believes on him. Like Paul and Barnabas, not just the 12. So, let's see it, Christians. That's all I'm looking for. That's what we should all be looking for. Let's see Christians doing the works of Jesus. I don't even need the greater works. If Christians can consistently raise the dead like Jesus without doing anything greater, I'll be satisfied. But I want to see miracles from modern Christians that match what Jesus did in the Gospels. At noon, you bring a Christian someone who is verifiably blind, and at 12:01 they've got 20/20 vision and they're asking Sleepy Joe for his aviators because it's so damn bright out. On the day of Pentecost, all kinds of people performed the miracle of speaking in tongues, which Paul says is, quote, "a sign not for believers, but for unbelievers," end quote. And it wasn't that gibberish you hear from Benny Hinn or Kenneth Copeland. Acts says that people from every God-fearing nation heard what these people were saying in their own tongue, like they were at the UN and had one of those earpieces in. If Christians can do that, I'm in. What offends me is Christians who try to tell me that I'm the one being unreasonable and asking way too much of this all-powerful being, as if that's even possible. You, my Christian friends, are the ones making all these extraordinary claims about being connected to an all-powerful super being who performs miracles and allegedly gives believers that same power. But then you ask people to join you in believing, sans any demonstration that such a being exists or has given anyone such powers? Really? God and Jesus never asked such a thing of non-believers, like myself. Right, J-Dubs?
What I was so intrigued by was the evidential nature of Jesus. The fact that he would always come into a city and provide evidence for belief and then preach behind that evidence. So, for example, he would say often in the Gospel of John, if you don't believe what I'm telling you, at least believe on the evidence of the miracles I've offered you.
I will happily believe on the evidence of the miracles you offer my Christian friends. If you can't make that happen, then maybe your God just doesn't exist. Shh, shh. Or maybe you don't believe on Jesus the way you think you do. Or perhaps you're believing in Jesus instead of on him. That's a very important distinction. Maybe try believing on him for a while and get back to me. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching. Blinding Gandalf, healing Impotence, and raising Sleepy from the dead. Those last two sound like the same thing, don't they?